in the second paragraph, this So in view of this, I have three questions. The first one is that in the last 3 years, how much in total have you been paying for the service of solid waste collection, transportation, and disposal in total per year? Secondly, who are your top 5 companies that get these jobs? And of these top 5, which ones belong to political players? I'm alive to the fact that the law does not prohibit politicians from doing this. But oversight demands of me that as you dish out jobs to us, Governor, you must uphold the principle of fairness, allow transparency to be apparent, and allow companies to compete. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Governor.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
I'll give you the chance.
The reason, actually, it's a point of order.
I just want to guide the Honorable Senator first, then I give you. Because,
Okay.
you know, procedurally, we invite people before this committee with written concerns of issues that are to be prosecuted before the committee. And we would like, you know, so that it's a bit neater, to confine on what is before us directly. Then if it is other side issues of concern, if it comes up, then it needs to be addressed differently. I want to request the Honorable Senator so that we can prosecute the issues and strictly adhere to what is presented before us, so that we don't ask for responses for set questions. And then we have too many other questions that maybe the invited guest before us has not prepared to give us the response because it was not a concern we have shared with them in writing. So take note of that. You can proceed right now.
Chair, the reason why I was actually nearly interceding when Senator Kalwale spoke, I was feeling like you were kind of making a ruling. And that ruling is that could we allow this team to take this document, give us an analysis what they have interpreted according to what the governor has said, before we can now begin interrogating the matter. So I'm a bit confused. Do we go into this and begin interrogating it before your ruling has become effective, or do we do it simultaneously? That's the point I wanted to raise, and I feel a bit confused.
You have a very valid point. The issues here, complaints came from PPRA, not from this committee. The complaints were technical. It relates to PPIP system. The county government of Nairobi has responded technically. They've shared with us information that, in all fairness, I cannot verify, or any member of this community cannot verify and say this, the response is satisfactory or not satisfactory. So when we say, because this is alive, we ask PPRA to dissect the response, give us a response in writing, setting apart issues that may not have been satisfactorily responded to that we need to engage the county on. Otherwise, if we ask just on the basis of the document before us and we have no, we are no beneficiaries of the system, that the system is not before us, we can verify if it's uploaded, and that is the claim. So my guide stands, but so as not to look like I've gagged the members, a few comments can be given that notwithstanding, because I will still give the same ruling, because otherwise we will not have done justice to the queries that were raised adequately. Senator, Honorable Senator from Nairobi
You know,
County.
Chair, I wish you had let me go first, because I was a bit surprised as to the speed at which the governor was moving through those documents, and I didn't see the committee trying to engage those documents at all. Perhaps you can borrow a leaf from what we do at the County Public Accounts Committee, that because we are also guided by the Auditor General and the report that they generate, we always require at the County Public Accounts Committee that the Auditor General be furnished with the responses at the same time when we are furnished with the responses, and usually a minimum of 7 days before the meeting, so that a meeting can actually happen. So it is a bit strange that you have adopted a different approach, because I feel like our day here is wasted, and the governor has been quite elusive in terms of being able to have these conversations in the Senate. So, Chair, perhaps you as a committee can adopt that same, when you do the invitation to the governor, let them respond to the technical team 7 days before the meeting, so that when they sit here, they say they have been able to evaluate, and then they can be able to guide the committee. Otherwise, I feel like the day is wasted if there isn't much that we can talk. I wish you'd have allowed us to have the governor cross over to the County Public Accounts Committee.
First, as the friend of,
I'm there tomorrow.
Kidogo, as the friend of the committee, you know, I made a very deliberate statement to brief you. What you deal with is routine, annual, every year. This is the first time the committee has been written to look into procurement compliance. Now, you have the benefit of having engaged with Auditor General and the responses that are given. Now, getting that information, we are taking the same route. And the complaint specifically is this information was not provided. Now, we've made serious progress by making sure the information is availed. And right now, then the guidance thereof will be to make sure that they dissect this information and are able to get back to us in writing, so that we're able to say, because it's not our complaint, it's their concern. Has it been satisfactorily addressed? Yes, no. There are issues that can be set apart, and we're going to deal with it. Now, if we were going to deal with pick and pack issues, which are audit reports that circulated months and everything is there, you are doing, yes, issues that are raised and you set apart, then what you say really suffices. But this is the first time, the fourth year, we are dealing with this issue. And unfortunately, we are only making sure that first, the documents that were not availed are availed, and then we are able to prosecute. And the Senate is here, county government is here. We'll be able to prosecute.
But then I can just make a general
general,
on one of the issues. Governor, at page 6, this tender of implementation of a physical address system. Is this the property addressing system or something else? Is a property addressing system? I tend to recall, Governor, that this is a process that had already been done. Nairobi has done a physical addressing system before. Why was it necessary for us to go back to consultancy services for implementation of something, of the same thing? Because I seem to recall, and you would know because you're also the Senate at that time, that this thing has been done before. I think it's just a question of implementation.
Chair,
You can take the question.
Can I take all of them?
No, you take all of them and I'll give you the chance to respond. Otherwise, we'll be here the whole day. Senator Kalwale?
Mr. Chairman, mine is not a further question. It's just a matter of a point of order. It's now on record that the Senate of Nairobi is doubting the competence minded. That I have served on that committee, not just as a member, but as a chair for 3 years in the Senate and for 5 years in the National Assembly. Finance. To be fair to procedure, Senator Sifuna, even in public accounts, there are many times, Mr. Chairman, when at the Auditor General, and even after the exit meeting, certain documents are not given to the auditor. The auditor will ordinarily ask the Committee of Public Accounts that these documents were not made available to me. Can you assist? In the same manner that PPRA is asking us that this information was not given. So there's nothing wrong in this meeting being used to ask for documents that were not given at the time they were not done. So having received these documents the way we have, where are we running to? Kenya is not coming to an end. The PPRA, Mr. Chairman, will have an opportunity to look at it as you have ruled. They'll inform us, and unless Sakaja has somewhere to run to, we shall still invite him. So I want to request my colleague, Senator from Nairobi, that nothing is wrong. Maybe it's you who has not walked through many committees enough to know that what we are doing here is also done in the Committee of Public Accounts. I thought it should be on record, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so that it doesn't turn into
just
back
a
and forth
clarification,
from the
Chair.
committee.
I think I was misunderstood.
You know,
What I was saying is, for instance, we're just sharing experiences, and we can share experience. Halwale for his long time as chair of PAC, and me in my brief period at the Public Accounts Committee. One of the things we do there, and it's just sharing, because tomorrow you can find yourself in another committee. Like yesterday, I found myself in, out of another committee. It happens, Chair, it happens. So what we usually do there, the chair will ask the Auditor General, who's essentially the eyes and ears of the committee, if the documents were submitted on time for us to have a meeting. And if the auditor says no, the meeting adjourns there. Because there's basically that technical engagement will be lacking in the committee. Because the convening of this meeting should only happen when they have had sight of those documents, and that's the experience we were sharing.
Have you heard what I said?
Yes,
I'm
I
explaining to you.
So, is it your direction that once they are done, we will then reconvene?
Of course.
Again with the governor?
Absolutely. The issue is now, Senator Sifuna,
Yes.
with a lot of respect for you, and I sit here, and I'm not among the senators that brag with the experience they have. And I started devolution for 10 years. And these technical issues that are being asked, I think PPRA appreciates the chance I'm giving them for them to be able to get to dissect because of the magnitude of the paperwork and the schedules that are shared in that context. Now, PPRA, Senator Sifuna, you need to pay attention, otherwise you will be opinionated to have your view as the rule rather than getting together, guide. Yeah. Now, the issue here is PPRA has written to us, having failed to get responses from the county governments, and there are about 80 county governments. They have not written to us prior. And we are at the tail end of proceedings. And ever since they have written, the compliance levels required in terms of the documents being availed has tremendously improved for those that they have shared the concerns. Experiences. But huwezi kukosoa, you know, the procedures that are being used by one committee. To that before now we can get. Okay. Tracy?
In as much as you've already said whatever you have ruled, but when I was just knowledge the obligation and will prioritize settlement upon availability of funds, like there's no commitment on when, you know, this remains vague. Like this tender NCC 3 means anytime there are no funds, this person who's been waiting from 2019, this is 2026, the response vague as it is, has no hope of the county committing to paying them. And this is the response in most of these pending bills. Governor, would you comment on that also?
It's actually tax factor and training levy. It's not pending bill per the question, but the question, other than it referring to pending bills, the training levy stands. You can respond to that, Senator Rapita.
Thank you, Chair. First, let me appreciate the responses from the county. They're very detailed, especially with the annexes. And before I proceed in my question, allow me, Chair, as the Vice Chair, just also to comment that when Senator Sifuna talked about how they do it at PAC, apparently a few months ago, that is the same committee that governors refused to appear before. This is the only committee that no governor has refused to appear before this committee because of how we prosecute all matters. This is the most busiest committee. Actually, last evening at 5 p.m., we had a committee session because of the timelines for CARA, because we need county governments to work. Chair, the reason we are here on matters PPRA, this is actually the first time Finance and Budget is dealing with matters that has been raised by PPRA. And the leadership that we've offered through your leadership as the chair, we've invited all governors. We are happy that they are continuing to appear so that we are able to bring this stalemate to a closure. No money has been lost as far as these concerns have been raised. It's not really an audit issue of where is this amount, where has it been taken to. It's a matter of why your team governor is not doing what they're supposed to do. And my question would be specific to, did you now respond to PPRA after the Senate Budget and Finance Committee communicated to your office, or you had done this prior? Because if this had been done, if these responses have been given by your team, the CEC, the CEO, if they had done their part, definitely or probably we wouldn't be here. We would also want just to try. We're actually mediating the complaints that PPRA brought before this committee, and the courtesy and the due diligence we've done as leaders, we've brought you together on this platform so that these gaps are finally and completely addressed. So I just want to understand, where is the gap? Is it your team? Did you respond after we received our letter from the committee chair submit?
I will have questions after the information you've brought is dissected, and issues of whether or not it's satisfactory. It satisfactorily answers what was shared by PPRA. However, I will give, some statement after your response before we can officially guide PPRA as to what time frame they will have to be able to get back to us. Now you can respond to the questions asked.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I will go sequentially. On the first question by Senator Khalwale about the standard tender document. Our position is mutilation is different from, if you mutilate it, you've altered mandatory provisions of the law under the public procurement and asset disposal law. But this was more or less customization. So we'd like to see their response. Let's hear from them what they say when they look at it, because that is our position. Because you cannot have, the standard tender document it's like a template from which you customize. No two tenders are the same. There are different needs, there are different, specifications that you require, and the law allows you to actually adjust it to fit that particular procurement. So that is our position, Chair. The second question, that one I don't know, he'll have to give us details, which politicians have those companies. And
since it was not an issue of prosecution here.
Yeah, and the amounts of money. But Chair, also, even as I answer this, I know the courts made a ruling about the responsibility of governors on procurement. You've been a governor. We are not involved at all in the committee of procurement or the procurement processes. We don't determine who gets tenders. Chair, I would appreciate, because we've started this process, and that's why I came with the Director Supply Chain and the former Director Supply Chain, because I'm seeing a lot of your communication to the county is directly to the CEC. Kindly be copying me. My office would want to have sight over your correspondence. It's not a one-off, it's something continuous. I would like to have sight as the CEO of the county so that we can move together. Senator Onyonka was a comment. Senator Sifuna has asked about physical addressing system. What we did, Senator, and that was a World Bank funded project that set up the PAS laboratory in the city. So they set up the equipment. They did a lot of the work of determining the proper, and physical addressing is something really important. When you go to other countries, you see like the buildings on the left have odd numbers, on the right are even numbers, and you can get the specific address, which is what we've been able now to develop. Even for e-commerce, sometimes you can order something. I'll give you an example. There's a Chui Road in Karen, and there's another one in Ruai. And the rider goes to Ruai instead of coming to bring your goods. And so there are many street names that are duplicated. Other roads have no names, and we are opening up to the public. For instance, in industrial area, you have roads called Road A, Road B, Road C, which could be named after great Kenyans, So what we are now doing, Senator, is the implementation of what the equipment, what it gave us. For instance, instead of going physically to every Nairobian to tell them what the correct name of their house is or their business, we are overlaying on Google Maps such that if you just drop your pin, you'll know the correct address of Parliament is number 3 Parliament Road, So there's a lot of technical work that needs that consultancy that we are currently undertaking. So what we have is the equipment and the laboratory, and we've been training our people, but they'll work hand in hand with a professional or firm that has done that before, Chair. Chair, on Senator Essie, the concerns on pending bills are very, very key concerns, and I agree with you. Chair, when I became governor, I found Nairobi having pending bills of 109 billion. You can imagine, 109 billion. People have supplied things. They have been auctioned. You find suppliers who marriages have broken. it is people have committed suicide. I know. And Chair, I know because, you know, even as we talk about AGPO, I'm sure you remember, I am the one who amended the PPA, public procurement law, to bring in 30% procurement opportunities. That was in 2015 when I was a member of National Assembly. But it reached a point, these young people came and the women saying, you'd rather not even have given us that 30% because I am worse off than I was before getting this tender. You know, I'm worse off. You've given me a tender, I've gotten a loan, I've been auctioned. And so it's a challenge that we have. Now, I am proud to say that I've reduced the pending bills from 119 billion to 86 billion. And that has been through many processes, including negotiating, reviewing, and of course paying. The legal pending bills, for instance, were 21 billion. That is the amount lawyers wanted from Nairobi. We've reduced it to now about 9. And then what we did to stop it, I hired 40 new advocates. 40 advocates who have the requisite, you know, professional expertise to be litigators, to give advice in various departments. So now we only outsource very specialized cases, you know, cases that require specialization and focus, but we have reduced that potential bill from escalating by having a strong office of the county attorney in Nairobi County. And I think that's something most counties should be able to do. Of course, the legal profession still needs, you know, to get some work. But the question we've been asking is how counties are charged, how public institutions are charged, bills that private entities would never be charged. You know, sometimes, you know, somebody wants you to pay them 1.6 billion for an arbitration. You know, somebody took us to court when we were doing Uhuru Park, and the lawyer representing the county charged us 1.2 billion based on the value of Uhuru Park. You know, sometimes it's really wrong because that was not a conveyancing. We were not selling the park. And so we keep encouraging, you know, our colleagues from the profession, Senator, that we can get into better arrangements with institutions. If with that 1 billion, I can feed 300,000 children for a whole year, you know, and so there are priorities. Chair, I want to agree with you that we have given our responses in terms of every question. Senator Essie asked whether, oh sorry, Senator Tabitha asked whether we have only responded after the Senate brought up these issues. That is not the case, and that's why we've attached a lot of the actual correspondence. And it's a continuous process. It's not a one-off. You know, PPRA writes continuously, and we respond. I think ultimately what we will need to establish with them is what is the best way to communicate between ourselves. Because you might find letters, you'll say, oh yes, it was received, it went to the registry, it went to the wrong person, etc. We just need to have a better you know, line of communication. And I would even want a liaison officer from PPRA at the county so that we can work together continuously to strengthen this procurement function that is extremely important. Chair, I hope I have answered all the responses.
Because the questions asked were very few, you've not answered all of them other than what we just asked right now, but I have to make the following statement. Number one, Governor Sakaja, I was a governor for 10 years. The way I've dealt with legal fees is a standard rate per case, whether it's High Court, you know, Appeal Court or Supreme Court, a standard rate which was less than ₦1 million per case. And we negotiated and you're able to deal with that. And you find what is happening right now is puzzling because we just, last week we were engaging with county assemblies and the legal fees being presented for one case of 400 and something million, you know, for a county assembly, it's absurd. Number two, what PPRA has done is very important for you, Governor Sakaja, as it is for me as a former governor. These records being uploaded into a government system protects you when you leave the office and you're no longer a governor. And maybe the system that is there for political reasons are not friendly, and there are concerns that touches on a time when you are there. You can get access to these documents from a government system without necessarily looking at requesting anybody other than the entity PPRA. Now, it is a very critical thing for county governments to comply. Now we've written to you, you've indicated you've responded to the issues of concern. We will not be able to dissect what you have shared with us as deeply as required. The expertise to do that, because of system expertise, still lies with PPRA. PPRA, you're supposed to take the responses from Nairobi City County and against the concerns you've shared. We are not prosecuting side questions that has come, because what we are prosecuting is what you have shared. And I want us to restrict in terms of what has come from the document you've shared. Dissect it, give us a written response within 7 days, so that we're able to look at what is satisfactorily responded to and what has not been responded to. Because the objective here is compliance, and we want to make sure that objective is attained, as it is. And of the county governments that appeared before us, before Nairobi City County, being your first time to engage us, you've seen the progress. We need to make sure that happens. It's not a fault finding, issue. It's an issue that requires, compliance unequivocally, without any failure, by all our county governments, and for their own sake, and for the public too, to be able to access information from in this PPIP system. You have 7 days to review what has been shared and share with us your response. Thereafter, then we'll give further directions on how we will engage to make sure that now, from informed perspective, having gotten your technical input, we will be able to engage with you. Yes, Onyonka.
Chair, I'm a bit confused by your ruling. The point is, I listened to Boni Halwale talk about the P company that is collecting garbage in Nairobi. And you have said you would want the PPRA team to specifically respond to what has been asked in form of questions. And I'm saying, I think it would also make sense if Honorable Halwale had an issue with that matter, then it would be important for them to consider it under the come in with the answers according to how the tender was issued for the group that is collecting garbage in Nairobi City without necessarily diluting
Or prosecuting issues that we've raised ourselves, then we will prosecute them by having a lot of other issues. But we have written requests from.
Before you do that,
Yes.
you know, Chair, we are all senators, and one time you will find yourself before a committee that I am chairing, and your governor will be there. I want to ask for very special indulgence because the people of Nairobi expect us to ask questions to the governor when he's here. Senator Khalwale, your governor is also appearing before a committee. I am sure there are things that you want to put to him, including matters that have come to your attention this morning. And the only opportunity we get is when these governors come to the Senate. So I wanted to request the committee to indulge me to raise an AOB because the governor is here. It is a matter that has to do with financials. And if he's unprepared to answer it, it is fine. But it is a matter that is in the public domain. And maybe he can just give a brief statement on that one.
Honorable Senator, with a lot of respect, because every committee has its own decorum on how it carries its own mandate. I have a responsibility as a chair of the committee to prosecute the issues before me as the chair that the committee was engaged with. I cannot allow, with a lot of respect, fishing expedition and side questions that I'm not prepared to prosecute where we are seated right now. Otherwise, we will have a disorganized meeting that we've not invited the governor to come and engage with us on.
Chair, with respect, I can see on your agenda there, agenda item number 7 says AOB. Even if it is my first time in Parliament, surely you cannot refuse a matter that is on the agenda.
Honorable Sifuna, as the chair of the committee, you will engage us on the issues you want to engage. If this becomes necessary, we will invite the governor back to come and respond. In as far as prosecution of the agenda before us is concerned, I would like to guide that the meeting is adjourned on the basis of the guidance are finally given to PPRA. Governor and team, you're excused to leave.